Yes, I'm here with LL, and we're going to read the Grimm's Brothers story, The Gold Children, and then we'll talk about it. There was once a poor man and a poor woman who had nothing but a little cottage. They earned their bread by fishing and always lived from hand to mouth. But it came to pass one day when the man was sitting by the waterside and casting his net that he drew out a fish entirely of gold. As he was looking at the fish, full of astonishment, it began to speak and said, "Hark you, fisherman, if you will throw me back again into the water, I will change your little hut into a splendid castle." Then the fisherman answered, "Of what use is a castle to me if I have nothing to eat?" The goldfish continued, "That shall be taken care of. There will be a cupboard in the castle in which, when you open it, shall be dishes of the most delicate meats, and as many of them as you may desire." "If that be true," said the man, "then I can well do you a favor." "Yes," said the fish. "There is, however, the condition that you shall tell no one in the world, whosoever he may be, whence your good luck has come. If you speak but one single word, all will be over." Then the man threw the wonderful fish back again into the water and went home. Where his hovel had formerly stood, now stood a great castle. He opened wide his eyes, entered, and saw his wife dressed in beautiful clothes, sitting in a splendid room. She was quite delighted and said, "Husband, how has all this come to pass? It suits me very well." "Yes," said the man, "it suits me too, but I am frightfully hungry. Just give me something to eat." Said the wife, "But I have got nothing and don't know where to find anything in this new house." "There is no need of your knowing," said the man, "for I see yonder a great cupboard. Just unlock it." When she opened it, lo, there stood cakes, meat, fruit, wine. Then the woman cried joyfully, "What more can you want, my dear?" And they sat down and ate and drank together. When they had had enough, the woman said, "But husband, whence come all these riches?" "Alas," answered he, "do not question me about it, for I dare not tell you anything. If I disclose it to anyone, then all our good fortune will fly." "Very good," said she. "If I am not to know anything, then I do not want to know anything." However, she was not in earnest. She never rested day or night, and she goaded her husband until in his impatience he revealed that all was owing to a wonderful gold fish which he had caught, and to which in return he had given its liberty. And as soon as the secret was out, the splendid castle with the cupboard immediately disappeared. They were once more in the old fisherman's hut, and the man was obliged to follow his former trade and fish. But fortune would so have it that he once more drew out the goldfish. "Listen," said the fish, "if you will throw me back into the water again, I will once more give you the castle with a cupboard full of roast and boiled meats. Only be firm, for your life's sake. Don't reveal from whom you have it, or you will lose it all again." "I will take good care," answered the fisherman, and threw the fish back into the water. Now at home, everything was once more in its former magnificence. The wife was overjoyed at their good fortune, but curiosity left her no peace, so that after a couple of days she began to ask again how it had come to pass, and how he had managed to secure it. The man kept silence for a short time, but at last she made him so angry that he broke out and betrayed the secret. In an instant the castle disappeared, and they were back again in their old hut. "Now you have got what you want," said he, "and we can gnaw at a bare bone again." "Ah," said the woman, "I had rather have no riches. If I am not to know from whom they come, then I have no peace." The man went back to fish, and after a while he chanced to draw out the goldfish for a third time. "Listen," said the fish, "I see very well that I am fated to fall into your hands. Take me home and cut me into 6 pieces. Give your wife 2 of them to eat, 2 to your horse, and bury 2 of them in the ground. Then they will bring you a blessing." The fisherman took the fish home with him and did as it had bidden him. It came to pass that from the 2 pieces that were buried in the ground, 2 golden lilies sprang up, that the horse had 2 golden fowls, and the fisherman's wife bore 2 children who were made entirely of gold. The children grew up, became tall and handsome, and the lilies and horses grew likewise. Then the lads said, Father, we want to mount our golden steeds and travel out in the world. But he answered sorrowfully, How shall I bear it, if you go away and I know not how it fares with you? Then they said, The two golden lilies remain here. By them you may see how it is with us. If they are fresh, then we are in health. If they are withered, we are ill. If they perish, then we are dead. So they rode forth and came to an inn in which there were many people. They perceived the gold children and began to laugh and jeer. When one of them heard the mocking, he felt ashamed and would not go out into the world, but turned back and went home again to his father. But the other rode forward and reached a great forest. As he was about to enter it, the people said, It is not safe for you to ride through. The wood is full of robbers who would treat you badly. You will fare ill. When they see that you are all of gold and your horse likewise, they will assuredly kill you. But he would not allow himself to be frightened, and said, I must and will ride through it. Then he took bearskins and covered himself and his horse with them, so that the gold was not seen, and rode fearlessly into the forest. When he had ridden onward a little, he heard a rustling in the bushes, and heard voices speaking together. From one side came cries of, There is one, but from the other, Let him go, 'tis an idle fellow, as poor and bare as a church mouse. What should we gain from him? So the gold child rode joyfully through the forest, and no evil befell him. One day he entered a village wherein he saw a maiden who was so beautiful that he did not believe that any more beautiful than she existed in the world. And as such, a mighty love took possession of him. He went up to her and said, I love you with my whole heart. Will you be my wife? He too pleased the maiden so much that she agreed and said, Yes, I will be your wife and be true to you your whole life long. They were married. Then, just as they were in the greatest happiness, home came the father of the bride. When he saw that his daughter's wedding was being celebrated, he was astonished and said, Where is the bridegroom? They showed him the gold child, who, however, still wore his bearskins. Then the father said wrathfully, A vagabond shall never have my daughter, and was about to kill him. Then the bride begged as hard as she could and said, He is my husband, and I love him with all my heart, until at last he allowed himself to be appeased. Nevertheless, the idea never left his thoughts, so that next morning he rose early, wishing to see whether his daughter's husband was a common ragged beggar. But when he peeped in, he saw a magnificent golden man in the bed, and the cast-off bearskins lying on the ground. Then he went back and thought, What a good thing it was that I restrained my anger. I should have committed a great crime. But the gold child dreamed that he rode out to the chase of a splendid stag, and when he awoke in the morning, he said to his wife, I must go out hunting. She was uneasy and begged him to stay there instead, and said, You might easily meet with a great misfortune. But he answered, I must and will go. Thereupon he got up and rode forth into the forest. It was not long before a fine stag crossed his path exactly according to his dream. He aimed and was about to shoot it when the stag ran away. He gave chase over hedges and ditches for the whole day without feeling tired. In the evening, the stag vanished from his sight, and when the gold child looked around him, he was standing before a little house wherein was a witch. He knocked, and a little old woman came out and asked, What are you doing so late in the midst of a great forest? Have you not seen a stag? Yes, answered she, I know the stag well. And thereupon a little dog, which had come out of the house with her, barked at the man violently. Will you be silent, you odious toad, said he, or I will shoot you dead. Then the witch cried out in a passion, What? Will you slay my little dog? And immediately she transformed him, so that he lay like a stone. Meanwhile his bride awaited him in vain, and thought, That which I so greatly dreaded, which lay so heavily on my heart, has come upon him. But at home the other brother was standing by the gold lilies, when one of them suddenly drooped. Alas, said he, my brother has met with some great misfortune. I must away to see if I can possibly rescue him. Then he mounted his golden horse and rode forth and entered the great forest. Had to be quite a sight. Where his brother lay turned to stone. The old witch came out of her house and called him, wishing to entrap him also. He did not go near her, but said, I will shoot you if you do not bring my brother to life again. She touched the stone, though very unwillingly, with her forefinger. Then he was immediately restored to his human shape. The two gold children rejoiced when they saw each other again. They kissed and caressed each other, and rode away together out of the forest, the one home to his bride, the other to his father. The father then said, I knew well that you had rescued your brother, for the gold lily suddenly rose up and blossomed out again. Then they lived happily, and all prospered with them until their death. So that was The Gold Children by the Brothers Grimm. What'd you think of it?
Well, there's so much in the story with just references to other stories, but yeah, I kind of noticed it seems to be about how people deal with ideas in their mind. Uh, so, like, when the wife has is kept up at night with wondering where all the riches came from, and once the husband tells her that it's the fish, they lose their fortune multiple times because she can't be at peace with not knowing.
Yeah.
Um,
And even
and
after it
then
happens the second time, she justifies that and says, "Well, I'd rather not have a castle and endlessly supplying larder or a cupboard just because I need to know where things come from." And that seems to
Mhm,
be not some kind of deep statement of her sort of integrity about this, but more like, yeah, she just justifies this sort of malicious kind of curiosity that she has. It's
mhm,
some form of power or something, this stupid stubbornness.
mhm. Yeah, and then later in the story, the father of the bride, um, and what does he,
Well, he thinks that his daughter's groom and husband, and they almost immediately get married, already husband, is some kind of vagabond beggar or something
mm,
because he's been wearing the bear skins. And
mhm,
then he wants to kill him, and then only
yeah,
with the daughter's intercession does he restrain himself, and then still he needs the proof,
mhm,
and so he looks in on them when the next morning or something they're sleeping in bed, and he sees that the gold child is not a vagabond, but he's this golden child.
mhm, mhm. So yeah, and so he's persuaded to restrain himself, and things go turn out better in that way. Uh,
Yeah, right. Yeah, he doesn't actually kill the golden opportunity that he and his daughter have. Like the gold child's mother did kill their opportunity, although luckily
mm,
it forced itself on them almost.
yeah.
There's maybe something about how the fisherman himself is so lucky that he gets this golden opportunity three times, and the third time, even it's like, okay, looks like I'm just fated to fall into your hand and into your lap. Okay, like I can't just give you a castle and this endless pantry. Uh, just go ahead and take my whole body and give two of the pieces to your wife. And so it's kind of like she is now ingesting the good luck. And so she'll finally believe it, and know it, you know. She
Mhm,
can't have faith. She has to know it with her body.
mhm. Yeah, and then I think the fish kind of sacrificing itself kind of made me think of the Bible and stuff
Yeah,
because
obviously.
it's still sacrificing itself even though despite the to maybe despite the or maybe because of the sins the wife did with just wanting all the knowledge
Yeah, it is very
instead of
much
regarding
like
it.
that you're supposed to have. you get riches, but you're supposed to have faith, and she doesn't,
Mhm.
and she falters several times, three times until finally she's given the body of the thing that's been given to you, very much like Jesus and the Eucharist or communion, where you eat the body of Christ.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very much that dynamic. Okay, and then yeah, maybe we'll go through the story kind of line by line and uh
Mm.
and talk about it that way.
Yeah, and going along with that, I think the fisherman and their wife were kind of like Adam and Eve, where they were kind of they got into this perfect world and stuff.
Hmm.
But then but luckily for them, they still got multiple chances. But the wife's curiosity kind of ruined that multiple times.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
right. Yeah, like Eve. Yeah.
mhm,
Although they're the opposite of Adam and Eve in one way, in that Adam and Eve start off in the beautiful Garden
mhm,
of Eden where they have
mhm,
everything, and the fisherman and his wife start off destitute, and then through their sort of luck and faith and sort of the fishing of the fisherman, which is something like going making faithful effort repeatedly and skillfully in the right place, um, they're able to get paradise. They're
mhm,
able to get endless, this big castle and endless food. But then, yes, like Adam and Eve, they squander their paradise, both of them.
mhm.
Eve through her curiosity, or the fisherman's wife through her curiosity, and the fisherman through what? Trusting her or something, or just sort of
Yeah, or maybe
he's
just
not
being
able
too
to.
easily kind of swayed by her.
Right, yeah, he's not able to sort of hold the line that 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 the God of the story has told him.
Okay.
And obviously this story is a lot like the other story we read, the fisherman and his wife, where they start off destitute. A fisherman gets a golden fish, and in return for saving the fish, he is given a better house. But of course, in this story, it's the fisherman that's sort of asking for that stuff. In the other story, it's his wife. Although, yes, there is still the nagging wife in both of them. And in this story, as opposed to the fisherman's wife, the fish is much more active, to where eventually he just offers his own body, which is almost kind of funny. But anyway, so the fisherman takes the fish home, and he cuts it up into six pieces like he was told, gives two to his wife, two to his horse, and then buries two of them. And the two to his wife become two golden children that they have. And the two to the horse become two golden fowls for like the golden children to ride. And then the pieces that were buried become two tulips that grow and that are sort of like spiritually connected to them, which is like another story that I think we read, um, where two boys go out, and yeah, they are connected. There's something excuse me, there's like a vial or something that the parents have that they can see, if as long as it's clear, they're healthy. And when it becomes red like blood, that means they're in danger or they're dead. So the golden children come of age, and they want to mount their golden steeds and go out in the world, which seems very much like the story of a young person, or especially a young man that wants to go out and kind of see the world and kind of basically become an adult, become a man. And then they both go, and they're sort of vulnerable, right? That's like they're very valuable, but they're vulnerable. and they go to an inn, right? And there's a lot of people there. So that's like a representation of society, all the types of people they'll see, and also people in groups, which can be, you know, they're not affirming or anything. They're more, they might reject you. They judge you harshly. They're loud, they're boisterous, they're rough, they may be cruel. And then this separates the two boys because one of them decides, I must go off into the world and I'm still going to be going and I'll do what it takes and I'll even clothe myself in a bearskin. And the other one sort of shrinks away and goes back home. It's almost like they're two sides of the of one person or something like that, with the tulips still being there in the ground or something. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like there's all what is it? There's always a part of you that's home, or at least there's always a part of you that in your heart that is home with your parents or something like that. And he ends up going out and coming back and everything. But the other one that goes out into the world, he never really comes back. But he almost dies, and he does need his brother to come and
Mm-hmm.
save him, or he almost becomes a stone, which is interesting. Like he becomes this inert thing. But anyway, yeah. So the brother that doesn't shrink from the crowd, he goes past it. And from going into like initial contact with society, now he's going to enter a dark forest, and he's told about the dangers. People can kill you, they can rob you. You know, it's like you have something valuable, your life and your talents, say, but people can take that from you. There's danger there, right? There was first social danger, and now there's physical danger. But he knows how to deal with it. He puts on a bear skin. So this reminds us, of course, of the story of Grimm's bearskin. And in that case, bearskin had to kill an actual bear. In this case, it doesn't say he does that, but there's maybe an implication of him wearing something that it's like it's like hair of the dog that bit you or something. Uh, you're taking in something, a little bit of something rough, poison or something to make you stronger. So he's putting on the guise of a bear. And then yes, he goes out into the woods and it's dark, and he never sees the robbers that are that could waylay him, could kill him, but they see him, but he hears their deliberation, and they're talking to each other, and they say, well, he must not have anything to take, so we should, just don't bother him, which again is like bearskin in the Grimm's brothers bearskin. But anyway, yeah, what do you think of that part?
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like it's like yeah, it's an intelligent guise that he puts on, right? Because he's not showing his gifts to everybody anymore, which is what made them be laughed at before. So you should be careful. That's probably another deeper meaning of this whole story, is the vulnerability of the gold children.
Mm-hmm.
Their father was
Well,
afraid for them to go out. There's a reason for that. Then they were laughed at the inn by all the rowdy people there. And then they could have he could have been killed in the forest. But by now he has learned how to hide it. He's gotten some awareness and some, skill or something. And he knows to hide his golden nature from the world. But then with the guise that he puts on, now it creates a new danger for him in a different context when he meets the beautiful girl, and they want to get married. And she, just like in the story Bearskin, she sees right off that he's quality, and that she agrees to marry him. And they get married like in this fairy tale story, like the next day practically. And not only was she willing to get married, but she specifically says she will always be true to him, which maybe there's some sort of contrast there with his own mother's action towards his father, to where she doesn't have faith or something. She doesn't have faith in the unknown. She always needs to know, and she's willing to sacrifice her whole, all their livelihood and everything just so that she has to know. Although later she's given the gift, which is again like maybe Christian theology where you can only get God's grace or something. It's sort of a mystery how it comes to you, which I think there is a larger truth there to whether you're Christian or not. Of it's sort of unknown whether you're going to get sort of wisdom or peace, although it's not like it's just only by luck, because there are ways to sort of get more wisdom and peace through philosophy, through mental training, and with meditation, and prayer is like a meditation. Different religious traditions and philosophical traditions have different ways of acquiring these things, but it still is a mystery what's what's going to kind of happen, on the other side of it, and whether you'll get really, or how much of God's grace you'll get, or whether you get God's grace, or whether you'll get sort of awakening experiences like in the sort of Buddhist traditions, or if you'll get enlightenment. It is sort of said by some enlightenment to be an accident, although meditation makes you accident prone. Anyway, yeah, he goes to the so he's all good, right? He's survived a lot of some difficulty, and he's ready to get married to the beautiful girl who's like seemingly like the picture of virtue and faithfulness. But then yeah, her father hates his appearance and is going to kill him. So again, he has another social physical danger there. And this time he's saved by his wife. Or you could say this is sort of like sometimes we are saved by our cunning with like putting on the bearskin, or sometimes we are saved by our feminine nature, by our soft pleading, right? Because it's not like they do anything to the father or they run away or something like that. She talks to him, right? Then the father said wrathfully, "A vagabond shall never have my daughter," and was about to kill him. Then the bride begged as hard as she could. "He is my husband, and I love him with all my heart," until at last he allowed himself to be appeased. So there's this kind of soft, kind of, yeah, pleading that. So this is he escapes that danger through a different way, and you can say he acquired that ability, or he acquired the person who can do that through what, through his having gone through danger, being able to having courage and having intelligence, and you can say all that shows through the outer clothing, the bearskins that he's wearing. And then yes, so as you mentioned, a larger theme of this story is some people who just don't have the intuition, or can't take things on faith at all. They have to see it with their own eyes, or they have to know for certain. And then, yes, the father of the bride does not kill the the golden child, but he still needs to know. He still needs to know for certain. So after his daughter and the golden child get married, he has to look in, open the door and look in on them. And then, yes, he sees him without his bearskin, and he's a gold child, and he realized, my God, I would have committed a terrible crime. What a good thing it was that I restrained my anger. I should have committed a great crime. So he's sort of unlike the mother at the beginning of the story, the fisherman's wife. He does realize sort of how, how close he came to really making a terrible error. And all of these terrible crimes or all of these terrible mistakes are all related to the golden fish. That's the through line through the whole story is the fisherman catches the fish at the beginning and then it goes all the way to the end of the story to where even the golden child is transmogrified into a stone, but then his brother comes and saves him. And then so yeah, the story could end here with the father-in-law accepting the golden child as he is, but then he has a dream and he's sent out, and he's sent out into the forest again, this time to hunt. So there's a kind of progression here from earlier in the story when he was in the forest, when he just needed to like keep his eyes straight ahead of him and not be killed by highwaymen. In this case, um, he actually has he's been told by his unconscious that he actually has to go out and catch something. But yeah, again, there's the golden child leaving, and there's maybe this sense of his vulnerability where the wife is very scared for him and, asks him to be very, very careful. And then he goes out to hunt, but he's not able to catch the stag, right? And then he comes upon a building with somebody in it, and there's danger there. And this is a witch in a cottage, and they seem to have a benign interaction at first. And she asks him, "What are you doing so late in the middle of a great forest?" And he says, "Have you not seen a stag?" So he's been hunting something that his intuition or some spirit has told him is out there for him to acquire. And then she says, "Yes, and I have seen the stag. I know the stag well." Like it's something that is special. It's not just some deer. This is maybe some idea. Maybe this is some kind of temptation or something not good, right? Maybe
What's
the
that?
point. I'm sorry. Yeah, the
I
stag.
mean,
I know the stag well. It sounds like she's talking about some specific thing. It's the white whale or something. I don't know.
yeah,
But
I know it's
anyway,
like this.
yeah.
Well, I remember it's like a stag is like a sacred animal in a way, but I don't really know
Oh, by whom?
about it. I don't know, like I think like Native American tribes,
That's what I was
things like
thinking you were
that.
thinking, but I wasn't thinking
But
these Germans thought that, did they? But
I don't
anyway, there
know.
is maybe a little bit of that because he sees it in a dream. It brings him out of his home, and then he encounters like magical danger, right? So there is maybe something special about it, good or bad, right? It could be something sacred. So then, yeah, I know the stag well, and a little dog which had come out of the house with her barked at the man violently. "Will you be silent, you odious toad, or I will shoot you dead?" I feel like that's like a test that he doesn't pass, Like,
Because it seemed really funny, like a funny test or a
yeah,
funny way to provoke the witch.
yeah. I don't really think that I've encountered this particular kind of thing in a fairy tale.
Mm,
Usually the witch is kind of barren, and now she has this little dog with her.
mm,
And then so yeah, he threatens a little dog, and then that's when she turns him into a stone. But yeah, don't you feel like this is like a test that he hasn't passed or something? He's supposed to be going after the noble stag, and then he is barked at by a little dog, and he loses his temper or something.
Hmm.
He can't I think maybe that's the point. He can't keep his mind on the stag. He forgets why he went out. And that's maybe what the real danger was. So in the first forest, the danger was him being waylaid and killed or killed and robbed, sort of like basically everything taken from him, you can say, like his life and his value. He is gold after all. And then in this forest, the as when you have more skills and more confidence and you survived more situations, there is various threats like of hubris, which he shows with the dog, and of losing your focus, losing the thread of why you're doing what you're doing. There's a story that um, Ian and I did in another podcast about, I think it was Dionysus going down into the underworld, and he needs to, anyway, it was someone going down into the underworld, and they need to kind of, we concluded that the story means that you need to remember why you went down there because it's easy to forget that, right? With all the terrible things that you'll see over there. And also, forgetting is associated with death, not only commonsensically, but also in the Greek underworld. I think they had to drink from a certain pool and they would forget everything. In the story that Ian and I did, he has to go past that pool to another pool and he drinks from that one, and that's associated with remembering or something. And we linked it to like sati, which is the the word that we translate as mindfulness, and which is linked uh, to remembering. But anyway, getting back to this story, yeah, what do you think about that? That his challenge here was to not forget what he had set out for, maybe the sacred stag or whatever it is. He had an aim given to him from somewhere important, deep unconscious, or a god or something. He goes out, he is warned by the wife, be careful. But that he might, she begged him to stay, you might easily meet a great misfortune. But then he said his characteristic line, I must and will go. But then, yeah, he loses his way and he threatens to kill a witch's dog, and then he's turned into a stone. But yeah, what do you think about all that?
I thought maybe it was just kind of showing the strengths and weaknesses of each brother. Uh,
Yeah. So what do you think is the weakness of this brother?
and like you said, like arrogance, that's this brother's weakness. But the other brother was overly cautious to the point of kind of being cowardly in a way and going back home. So, but it that maybe that brother would have been more cautious in that situation. But now that the this other brother is in trouble, it's an opportunity for the other brother to show his strength and kind of make up for running away. And
Yeah.
maybe this brother will learn to be less arrogant. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. They're two brothers, they're two golden children born at the same time of the same circumstances, and they talk the same, and they're making the same decision. They go out together. So they're kind of like twins. I mean, they literally are two brothers born at the same time that seem to resemble each other.
Hmm.
But then, yes, their paths diverge and go in opposite directions. One
Hmm.
goes back home. So, yes, he's characterized by timidity, and the other one
Hmm.
goes forth, and he's characterized by boldness. But yes, his boldness gets him in trouble here, where he
Hmm.
meets he meets with something he does not understand and is not. as powerful as in some ways at least. And even after he has been warned by his wife, or you could say that's like the feminine nature, feminine intuition or something. And he is maybe almost like overly masculine or something in that he's always been going forward, and not looking to the side or not listening to his 360-degree kind of intuition, you know.
Mhm.
Although there might be some interesting connection there with him having gone out after the stag for because of a dream there.
Mhm.
'Cause that's maybe the birth of his intuition or something.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah, I think that's a good analysis of the two brothers. So then, yes, the timid brother who had gone back home in the earlier part of the story now has a chance to kind of be heroic and to balance out his timidity with some boldness and to save his brother in the process.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like they kind of need each other to redeem themselves.
Yeah. And again, like it almost is like they're two sides of one person or something like that. You know? Yeah, I guess I find dreams fascinating in these stories. But I can't say much more about what I think this particular dream may be of the stag. And it's funny that he never catches the stag. So it seems almost like the point wasn't to catch the stag. What do you think about his being turned into stone? I mean, this happens in other stories. You go out into the forest, there's a witch there, and she's turning people into stone.
Mm,
There's another story, Jorinda and Joringel, where that happens to the beloved of the man, and he is let go, and then he later has to do things involving stuff he found in a dream, and he saves her. But yeah, what do you think about this going after the stag?
or
I mean the stone.
mm, I don't know. It's like in this story, I don't really have deep thoughts on it. I thought it was like you're saying he's going forward all the time, but this time he's literally stopped
Yeah,
because
he's
he's
stopped dead in
frozen.
his tracks. I mean, there
Um,
might be that might just be the thing. It's like the fisherman was trying to go forward by getting the fish and then getting good luck from the fish.
mhm,
But then his wife was kind of stymieing him, or you could say the combination of his wife's irrepressible curiosity and his
mhm,
own sort of inability to sort of control
mhm.
that dynamic and to kind of, you know, find some way to satisfy her.
Yeah.
And then so the fish moves forward right into the ground, into the wife's body, into the horse's body, and
Mhm,
the golden children move forward. And then one of them comes back, and then the golden child
mhm,
finally he finds love and he defies death a couple of times, and then he has a dream, a different type of a different type of motive, and it's kind of spiritual in nature. It's not even
mhm,
physical. And then he goes out to find the stag, this mysterious kind of thing. And then he meets a different type of magical person.
mhm,
But then, yes, he stopped there when he doesn't survive this. He doesn't pass this test. He sort of
mhm,
acts petty, yells at a little dog.
mhm.
But
See, I
yeah,
like
that
it.
could just be it. Just he's stopped dead in his tracks as a stone. And then yes, he needs love and the far-seeing kind of connection symbolized through the tulip that is still connected to his body way
Mhm,
back at home. That was also comes from part of the fish's body. But yeah, the story ends soon after that. Everybody, the brother saves the timid brother saves the bold brother. And yeah, the timid brother saves the bold brother by acting boldly. So that goes along with your idea that he needed this to kind of balance himself out and to gain some courage. And yes, his bold brother had gotten turned to stone when he came close to the witch. He yelled at her dog, but he also came close to her. And that is in line with other stories too, where there's the witch in the forest living in a castle, or in this case, a cottage, and you come too close to her and she'll turn you into a statue. You need to kind of know to keep your distance. And the timid brother keeps his distance and he just yells and threatens her. And then she touches the the gold brother turned into stone, and he turns back into his human form. And then yeah, they rejoice, and the one goes back home to his bride and the other back home to his father. And the father says, "Yeah, I had known that you had rescued your brother, because the golden lily rose up and blossomed out again, and they lived all happily and prospered, and all prospered with them until their death." Yeah. Well, thought it was a pretty good story. And yeah, a lot of different story elements kind of packed into that story. But yeah, well, we'll try to find another one for next week, and enjoyed that. Well, thank you for talking with me.
Okay.